the frame would flex slightly, and then the cable would stretch a bit, and it would pull the gear out of bottom into bloody second, which is a bloody nuisance. But that was one thing. But yeah, I mean, cycling, the biggest thing in cycling today is the quality of the equipment. I mean, one of the things that hasn't changed is tubulars. Tubulars were, I reckon, as better in the old days than they are now. Clements. But so much of the equipment is absolutely brilliant. You don't know how lucky you are, really.
Do you enjoy racing more now, or when you were back in the 50s and 60s? I think
I've always enjoyed it. It's always just different. I mean, you put up with all the crap because you know everybody else was on the same crap. So I mean, it's because cycling is still basically just turning pedals over, isn't it, and cranks.
Yeah.
But now it's sort of like luxury in a way. I can't believe, mind you, there's a bit of fiddling sometimes with when you 10-speed, something goes. Stands went the other day and I was pouncing around with it, but you got to know what you do. But I do quite enjoy maintaining my own bike. So, and with this new stuff, it's quite easy to work with. But yeah, my first event wasn't. But the big thing in the old days, we used to ride out
to the course, to the start.
And possibly we get accommodation, or we come down. Well, for here we mostly get accommodation. I used to go to in Farnham.
Was it a bigger deal to race in the 50s when it was like you couldn't just get in a car and?
Well, the trouble was lots of other people were in the same boat actually. So you did there's a bloke Bowen. I don't know if you know the Oxonian. Well, he was a big rival of me. And it sort of egged me on to bloody. Although we don't talk at the moment, we could talk again in the future. But he's always, in the old days, he was a big rival of mine. And I think if he hadn't cut hair all his bloody life, he most probably would have won the National 25 more than I did. But he had a car because his old man, he lived with his parents, he never married anyway, but he sort of always, he had a car from day one. But I mean, I didn't have a car till I was about 26, but I just had to catch lifts and because have you got a car?
Yes.
Oh, you're right. Who is it? There's a bloke in the Maidenhead, isn't it? He always goes, and Gervin.
Bill Gervin, yeah.
Neither of them have, but they sort of do, they manage, don't they? And I suppose I manage, but I do wonder how I did it, especially on pissing wet days, and like riding at Christmas and changing under a railway bridge. In fact, they used to bloody, there's a bridge, there was a bridge there, because the railway came along here, I think, or was it for the new road, but I think maybe it was because of the new road, because eventually they did all it. It's had a few changes, and we used to bloody the everything was under this bridge. It wasn't in a hall. Nobody ever thought of that. So it was a bit sort of. I'm telling this young man about all the horrors of being riding in the 60s and the 50s.
Well, it's like when he became. Was it 1965 when you were national champion?
No, 61.
61.
And that was a bit resolute. It would have happened anyway, but I was the first person to win on gears, which is quite amazing now, because you don't see many people on. I know people have the Scottish madman, what was his name?
Graham O'Brien.
O'Brien and Boardman have proved you can, on certain days. I still believe in a fixed wheel because it's the perfect transmission, isn't it? But you've got to have a perfect conditions, I think, to achieve it. But I mean, everybody these days are
The thing is, John, how many people do you know that have been up the Von 2 3 times, and all three different routes in one day?
Yeah, well,
in their 60s.
Yeah. And how long did it take? That's what we want to know. You set off about midnight, you didn't get back till midnight.
No, it was about 9 hours.
Oh, was it? 9 hours. All I can say, you better ride the Tour de France. Get your meal ticket, get in there and see how you get on.
And what about the Lands then to John O'Groats? Did you have to do a lot of training for that?
Well,
or you just
the problem is I'd ridden 12s and 24s, so I mean I think you've got to ride plenty of 12s to start with, and then well, 100s, 12s, 24s. But I rode, I think by the time I did it, I'd only ridden 2 24s. I can't bloody remember. I know I did 505 my first one, and then, to be honest, they weren't really my scene at all. And I think I did one because I failed to get the end-to-end in 81, and then I got it in 82. But in the year 81, the sponsor thought there was something I didn't want to do it. It was not that at all. I had a virus. What I did, I trained for it. I was in Scotland looking at the route, and I thought, Christ, I must do something really hard. So what I decided to do, I rang this bloke in the Charlottesville, timekeeper, I forget his name offhand. He was a hardcore RRA bloke, and he arranged for me to do London to Bath and back. So when I came back from Scotland, I did London to Bath and back, and it damn near bloody killed me, and I had a virus. But I can't say it was to do with doing the ride. And it was a Les West record. Well, I don't know if you'd ever heard of him, but he was second in the World Amateur and fourth in the World Pro. So he was no fool, and I got it by about 4 minutes. And that was one of my main training things. But of course, I got a bloody virus, so I got as far as Blair Athol, and then I packed to Blair Athol, but I should never have started. And because I had this virus, the temperature, and it was just bloody crazy. I don't know why I even bothered, but
you'll be in the sea in a minute. Keep pedaling.
Yeah. So anyway, but I got it the next year.
Yeah. Okay.
But it wasn't really. It was. I had a good sponsor, and he made it. You know, he lent me a car and everything else, and
he took the
serviced
short
it.
route, you know.
Oh yeah. You have a go at, I mean, you do all these bloody dragon rides, do something which is really, everybody can understand. You could get a really good go. Well, like, you don't have to sort of be anybody, you just put your name in, and it costs you about £5 just to bloody enter it, and off you go.
I'll tell you what, if you do it, I'll do it with you.
Oh yeah. Well, there's people.
Now there's a thought.
That bloody club.
What's our combined age?
Yeah.
A 2 up. Papers. 2 up, yeah.
Well, I mean, in a way, you could. It would get a lot of publicity if we did it properly monitored, a 2 up. You know, because a lot of people, if you forget about doing it solo and our age, I think it would. You know, it would hit the press, possibly. I don't know. The press is a funny thing. But yeah. Anyway, that's where I started riding up and down here, and I've kept at it. Funnily enough, this road, we did do some good times on here, really, like 57s, which, bearing in mind you're on ordinary bikes.
Yeah.
And it's a job to say, but everybody knows people are going a lot quicker, but it's a lot to do with tri-bars, isn't it?
What was the traffic like then, when you were on that old road?
Well, funnily enough, one of the big problems, I could recognise this, and this is what has made time trialling a lot quicker, is dual carriageways, because when you got to the turn, you'd have a lot of traffic going to Winchester and whatnot, and you could feel the traffic slightly. It's like this bit of road, isn't it? If you get cars going the other way, it does. If it's a truck or something, that can slow you down. It's not a massive thing, but all these things help. If you've got a dual carriageway, lorries or like the A34, I mean, that was. Stan was saying, I mean. You said, didn't you, a lorry went by us. We were only on the A34. I don't know if you know, there's a point where you have to go on the A34 just for about a quarter of a mile, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know where that is.
Chiltern. From Chiltern to the West.
And he was saying, oh, that bloody lorry, when it went by, well, when you used to ride Boroughbridge or the A34, when you got a lorry going by, you could bloody go from like 25 to bloody 35, couldn't you? If you have a stream of them.
Yeah.
And really, time trial, you know, has been a farce. Even this road, you could say, is fast, but it doesn't carry a lot of heavy traffic, does it? Really, it's usually just saloon cars. And
Have you ever ridden the time trial on the A34?
It was before my time. And to be honest, it's hard to imagine you doing a time trial on A34 now.
I'll tell you this now. You go whatever your personal best is. You can knock off another 3 or 4 or 5 to 5 minutes. I mean, it's just a total bloody farce. But I mean, it's the way. You were forced to do it. You either went to Boroughbridge. I mean, what happened there was you get trucks, even on a Sunday, they were coming down from Teesside and then caravans and bloody, and blokes were swinging out and getting straight onto them, and the caravan thing would be going 50 miles, so they swing out, they still get terrific lift off it, and then where's the next one? And it's a wonder they didn't have bloody mirrors, just sort of, so they could be even more professional, but it was a sort of you know, it's a job to extreme, but it's not worth talking about it. It was just the fact, if some people do it, you had to do it.
Yeah,
you couldn't sort of, you know, there's a bloke in this club, the Hounslow, he wouldn't go up to Boroughbridge. He's called Martin Roach.
Yeah.
And he did win the BAR, but he could have won loads of BARs if he was prepared to do motor pace, because it literally was motor pace.
Yeah.
I mean, you can understand what I'm on about.